That's, yeah, I know how you feel. It's really, there's there's four people close to me who are still in the grasp of that. And I was thinking it through and feeling it through, more importantly, as I worked my own stuff through. Um, how much can I do for them? And at this point, you can be a support person,
Can't.
but we each have to work this part ourselves.
This is exactly the conversation I was just having with my friend as we were walking up on the hills this
There you
morning,
go.
coming
Yeah.
here, and saying, that whatever we do, wherever you're at in your healing, there is only so much anybody else can do. But if
Yeah.
you are at a point where you cannot take it on yourself, you aren't going to continue healing. So you just won't,
Ah,
especially if that,
ah,
if you require somebody else to do something or to apologize or to change for you to heal that hurt, that's not going to work either. But in every healing journey, certainly I think when you get to the very final moments of it, the real crux of it, it's a solo journey.
it
It's
is.
something you have to do for yourself, by yourself. And as you say, Jim,
Mhm.
we can support people in that, but that support has to be like there's a wall there when you need to steady yourself,
Mhm.
and that'll just catch you so you
Mhm.
don't fall off the cliff. But it can't be any more than that. It's more like you're walking behind somebody and just
Yeah.
checking that they don't trip. You're there if they trip, but even then they need to pick themselves up off the ground, because
Mm.
everything is part of that healing process, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I'd say
I
the same
mean,
as you're saying about the need for healing. I think I felt in the last few years this drive, certain drives in certain ways. It's like this feeling that time is running out. Certain things have to be done. So a drive to be making tools, for instance, and the sacred work, but also a
mhm.
drive to do my own healing.
Yeah.
And that these things that I haven't come to terms with, uh, I've got to do it one way or another, even if all I'm doing is finding a way of releasing it. It's like
Mhm.
there's no time left to carry
Yeah.
any more of this shit forward. So it's interesting that
Yeah.
we're all feeling it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And also Lionsgate.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's intense now.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
settle a bit. But one thing I can definitely understand deeper is this need for safe spaces. When I
Or
say
safe
safe
places. Yeah.
spaces, whether
Yeah.
it's physical or it's
Yeah.
emotional, spiritual, mental,
Mhm.
however it may be, not everybody has the courage to create their own.
Yep.
So I think facilitating, like we said, safe spaces of various kinds, whether like we've been speaking, you have been speaking, everybody's been speaking through music, art, or vulnerability and sharing. And this is something I'm getting goosebumps. Yeah, this is something I have deeply, deeply understood this time
Holding
because
spaces, isn't it?
holding, yes, and I
Yeah.
I didn't realize the need for safe space till I gave myself it.
Mm.
Mhm.
Mm.
And there were a few people who are pure in their love for you, friends, family, oh, and Mother Earth. And so it's
Yep.
like in those moments of deepest dive, just that remembering and that holding, that love, oh, is very powerful. It's such powerful medicine. Yeah.
It
A
is.
space where you can let go. You're allowed. You're allowed to be. It's like you're describing lots of different safe spaces, but it's that when you feel safe to just be whatever in any moment, that whatever you need to be in every moment, that's a safe space, isn't it? Whether it's a physical place or an emotional place, but I think it's both, to be fair.
Hmm.
Yes. Yes.
You know, that's really good too, because I've seen some of them are dropping back into those places that put them at risk and inability to heal earlier. So I need to think about the safe spaces. Is there anything I can do to, even if it's just give them the energy to create some safe spaces, because they're not really listening right now.
Yeah, sometimes a safe space is that providing a circle
Right.
that you hold,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's an online circle or a one-to-one in to face, you're having a conversation. And sometimes it just takes a while. You have to keep holding the space open, and it may take them days, weeks, months to step into it properly. But
That's a
until
good
they've
point.
felt
Yeah.
held by it, they may not have let down the barriers to be able to trust it enough. I can only speak from my own experience, sort of, if I think about some of my issues where I have felt like I have to keep myself held inside and not express or not share or not feel free. When I'm in a space that ultimately is providing me with that safe space to do that, I'm not aware of what that is. And I may have felt so unsafe for so long, I don't even know what safe feels.
Yeah.
So until I've sat in it a while,
Yes.
I've been held in it a while, I've experienced it a while, then I can start to drop my defenses. Because I'm beginning by observing the other people around as well. Sometimes it's how does safe translate out there? So if there's somebody who's feeling safe, I need a marker, because if I've never felt it, how can I know how to feel it or what to feel? There's two ways of doing it, isn't it? You can manufacture a feeling until it's grown inside you, or you need to be able to witness and observe a feeling to understand, to recognize it in yourself when it's been there already. So I think you can translate that as safe space as well, can you?
I think also like changing the dynamic. So there were feeling unsafe because of, for example, in this lifetime, certain events and experiences with people and situations. It's during, for example, in meditation, dropping down into that space and changing the dynamic at that point. Also, whether it's through self saying that you are safe, or it is a prayer, or saying that you're stronger now, and that you will take care. So I think it's also dropping down there and changing your relationship with those starting points.
Yeah. And actually hearing you say that reminds me of something. Okay, so that's sort of classically doing it in hypnotherapy, but I mean, knowing about hypnotherapy, it's if you can drop someone down into a deep meditation. So if you can guide a meditation where you're dropping someone deep down, and then you are delivering the same talk you just said, so building a sense of safety and teaching that sense of safety, or what. So certainly I think as a hypnotherapist, when I do it with people, the hardest ones are the ones that don't have a resource to build on. So you've literally got to build them a feeling of safety from raw materials that they don't, because they don't have a feeling of safety. So then you're constructing it, but you're doing that verbally, but you're doing that with utilizing someone else's imagination and putting them in a place and then telling them, well, that's safe, isn't it? Just like as a child, you would have told them that they were afraid, or you would have told them that they're okay, and the child will accept it. So you can help that way as well, I think.
Yeah, and some of them I've helped to build a foundation of safety, and now it's crumbling and they feel like they're floating again. And collectively, that's what late last night I was sitting here and I'm getting all these messages. I did a little write up about Standing Rock because I was getting a bunch of oh man, we tried so hard, we did so much, and we're still fighting, and everybody's fighting, and I'm like, no, wait a minute. There's a lot of good things that are coming out of what's going on. If we can slow down and do exactly what Alien's saying and you're saying, go into yourself. If you don't have that place of safety, work with a circle or work in yourself to start creating it, or find somebody who can help you.
And that also smacks a little bit of exhaustion and burnout, doesn't it? I mean, they've done all that work.
Absolutely.
They've worked really hard, and they're not seeing the positivity coming out of it. And that is, interestingly enough, again, one of the topics that we were talking about when we went for a walk was that, when you're stuck in a particular place and you're not aware of what else is going around, so your view in that space is very limited, and until you're taken out of that space, it's almost like the cart horse with the blinkers on, that you need to be able to take the blinkers off, so dump them into a positive environment so that they can see it. Like I said to you last time, I think, Jim, that I reached a point where I'd given up and I wasn't going to do the work because I couldn't see evidence of value in our species for that. And then there I see it in the Standing Rock, and I know all of these years have gone on, and even when we were doing the Sacred Earth activism stuff, you start, it's all going to change, and you see the with lockdown, it's like, everybody's finally getting it, and then we've slipped back. So it can be very hard to not get sucked back into that puddle of we're never going to change. But as you say, Jim, when you step back and you look at all of the things that are going on, we actually have made a change. We are actually changing. But if you're not looking in the right places, you're not necessarily going to see it. So maybe that's another thing that we can do, is to ensure that we present, where we find this evidence, we present it as often as possible.
Yeah, it's tricky.
There's also
Really
something
tricky.
coming very bluntly, though, is like how as Sotim we have decided to weave, and we've decided to build and celebrate and ceremony, and then there is the other side, which is Standing Rock, and there is all of that. So we can help who we can, but we also got to put our energies to create and build.
That's good too. It's I got a call from one of the people putting together this event with us, and he's the guy who's one of the two leads at the facility, and boy, he was all in a panic and he couldn't see it. So he said, the stuff, we don't have enough clarity. Okay, where do all the pieces fit? We need a list of what goes. And I said, no. That's exactly what we're not doing. Well, the center's going to have too much impact. I said, no, it won't. So, I think I spent about an hour, and I have a feeling he'll call again later today. Well, we should put this off until we have a lot more time to plan it and implement it. I said, no, you're trying to work in the old paradigm.
That's it.
Yep, we got to put the fear aside.
Yeah,
just
the control aside. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if I think about the way I've been doing these, as I was just beginning to say to you, Jim, when Alien came in, was, actually this whole entire course, and any of the ones that I've been running or designing recently, I say designing, I don't have an idea pop in my head. I sit for a moment and think, okay, how can I do that? Just check, can I do that? I have a little feel around within myself as to what I can and what I can't. I'll give it a quick little think. Yeah, okay, I can do this, I can do that, I can do that. Yeah, fine. Okay, I'm comfortable enough that within this very loose parameter, I keep using the word scaffolding because it's not even a structure. There's no structure. It's a scaffolding that enables you to build something. And as long as the scaffold, it's funny that I'll go into that in a minute, the analogy of scaffolding. So as long as there is a sensible scaffolding, then I come in here and I allow spirit to work through me, or I allow it to flow out of me, whatever you want to think of it. It's a channel, it's a whatever, but it's a stepping back and not having overt control. I ask, I provide space. I provide space for everyone. Even like today, when I knew that today's session had no particular coherence to it. It was about, okay, everybody's had a journey here. And this session is about you bringing whatever you want about that journey here and us discussing it and then seeing what it wants to do. Because I haven't got a clue what that's going to be. Each one would be absolutely different, wouldn't it? And so even not knowing whether anyone would turn up, it's like, well, okay, well, I'm here. I will hold the space. I will create the space. And I called in, and in calling in, I didn't just call in the spirits and the energies. I also called in, well, who needed to be here? Who wanted to be here? Would be here. What needed to happen would happen. It's taken me a long time to learn to let go enough to do that. And there is this strange paradox in that, in letting go and having less control, I actually feel safer and more comfortable because the onus isn't on me. And I'm not here on my own. I'm never on my own. And I just sort of think, well, for me, it's a lot more comfortable way of working, and it is all about trust. And no, I don't know whether I can do it or not. But actually, of course I can, because I'm not doing it on my own. As long as I keep that channel free enough, hollow enough, to allow it, and I don't get in the way with my ego and my sense of self and I've got all of my own neuroses, still got them, haven't gone anywhere. And maybe that's that thing about the healing thing, is it isn't even necessarily about, it's not about cure even. It's about whatever your things are, getting them to a place where they're no longer hindering you. They're no longer harming you. They're no longer interfering with your journey. They're no longer getting in your way. They're no longer playing you. So like you said, Ali, and that word, it's having a shift of perception, seeing it slightly differently. You know, you haven't overcome something, you've stepped around it. Yeah. So interestingly enough, I can actually climb up scaffolding now. Without completely freaking out. It's lovely.
Make a video then.
We want proof.
That's right.
I've got some pictures of me on the roof.
There's another thing about vulnerability. Which is powerful. That's another thing that I've experienced, because through the workshop with women, and it was about, I shared this before, matriarchs in storytelling and history of ancestors, but through like the female, like the feminine. And because I was conducting or facilitating it, I opened up slowly about like the wound that I was dealing with, and the masculine. And then because I opened that space, then everybody else did. And it's a beautiful thing that we underestimate or really don't, value. The human heart and the human nature is so beautiful, because then we just held each other through it all. And then the artworks were made, and things didn't work out and some had to be removed, but everybody was like, it was the process that mattered. We sat, we ate, we cried, we shared, we laughed, we cooked, and that's what mattered. So I think also the ones who are comfortable being vulnerable and sharing and holding that space should come forth and be vulnerable, because the others are just waiting for someone to do that.
Yeah,
Wow.
show the way, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I quite agree, and I would say that our vulnerability is actually our greatest strength.
It's one of our superpowers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
That's when I try to teach people some of the healing arts too. I mean, it's the same way. When I use shamanic medicine, I just become hollow bone, and I've been doing it long enough and worked with others that I've seen some unbelievably good things happen, and other times nothing happens. But I have no ownership, and that's how the circle needs to be. It's not for us to decide. We know we become hollow bone, we welcome the energy through. And then if it's used by whomever or whatever, fine. If something happens, good, and if not, that's okay too. And
Exactly.
that takes away a lot of the fear of, oh, what if I do something wrong and suddenly the person's worse or dead or whatever. It takes it all away.
Yeah, yeah. There's no failure, no wrong. No. And as Alian said, it's that process, isn't it? With the writing workshop, and I did an art one yesterday, and again, that was the main thing I tried to pass over to people is yeah, okay, actually we're all our own worst critics, and it's your critic that's inhibiting you. And I just want, before we start, what goes on your page is irrelevant. Really doesn't matter what you put on there. What matters is that you have an experience with it. And the end piece, that it really doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a piece of anything. You don't have to like it, neither does anybody else. It doesn't come into it.
That's right.
Each piece, each time you sit down and do a free write, or you try to write something, it doesn't have to turn into a piece of writing. That doesn't invalidate it.
Nope.
Nor does it invalidate you. And it's the same with your sketching. It doesn't matter whether the marks you make end up producing a piece of work or end up, it doesn't matter what they do. It just matters that you make the mark. I think that's really important, because we've got, so tied up in performing, producing, having to be the best. This whole sort of hierarchical way of thinking, isn't it? That there's a right and a wrong, there's a black and a white, there's a success and a failure, rather than there's a being and there's an experience and there's a path. There's a start, there's a finish, there's a goal, there's an end point. When the journey's the thing that's the thing you're actually spending your entire life living.
Yeah.
We work for retirement. Why do we do that? Why can't we be living today, and work happens to be a part of us living today?
Yes. I think that's critical. I mean, so many people work hard to retire and have what they need to retire, and then they drop dead.
Yes.
Because they no longer have a purpose.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. Well, they're so that there's nothing left of them.
No.
You've put off your life for a rainy day.
Yeah.
I worked out a long time ago that there was no way that retirement would ever exist in my life. So whatever I did, I had to work out a way of sustaining myself by my way of life, because I've got to live it. and even when people give me ideas now of, oh, you could do this and you could do that, or you could run this workshop, you could do that one. Well, yes, I could do all these things, but they're not my things and I don't want to do them. And that's not me being stubborn or this is, I have to live this life. I want to be, the whole point is I want to be doing things that fill me with joy and pleasure. And why shouldn't I? Why shouldn't anybody? Why should life be striving? It's such an odd way to treat ourselves, to think that that's the way we should be. But then we'll start going into a political conversation about the powers that like to control and how they use fear. Yeah.
But it's like this for me also. Like these whatever programs and whatever workshops and travels, I don't plan like anything. It just is, it's just like a phone call. And a friend's like, listen, this is happening. The money is less. I'm like, I'm coming. So this thing for Indonesia is about to work out, which also happened like that. And I don't have the money. But I'm like, okay, if you want me to go, like, please, please. So I kind of, when I can, I do. But the other times, I just have to trust. That's just, just because it's stressful otherwise.
Yeah, there's more of that happening too, which is nice. When I went out in May, I didn't have any funding to do it this time, but I knew I had to go gather medicine, and I was going to teach Amy some stuff, and I had to go meet with the people that asked. And so I ran up quite a bill. And I thought, well, it had to be done. So like you're saying, so I just did it. And then just a few days ago, I got a call, and it's a long story, but one of the court cases over this huge, horrible accident I had 3 years ago, suddenly out of nowhere, it's going to settle. And it looks like my share of it will pay off those debts plus a little bit of extra. So I just sat down, paused for a minute, breathed in, and said, thank you.
Similarly, I've just come back from retreat with the Buddhist Sangha, and I almost didn't go because it's like, it was only a couple of days, and I'm having to get the petrol off of mum and dad, and they've even bought the food. I don't have any money to pay for it. Things are bouncing out of my bank account.
Yep.
But there's things that you have to do, and it's like, so I did it. And I came back, and something had bounced out of my account, and it said, right, well, we're going to represent it in 7 hours. Fine, okay, what do I do about that? And I had the humility. So I looked, actually, what I did in that moment was look at my repeat patterns. What do I always do in this scenario? Because this scenario happens a lot. What do I always do? Because I need to not do that.
Right.
And it doesn't matter what else I do, I need to not do that. So rather than hiding my head in the sand and thinking, oh, what should I do? I just walked straight in with half an hour to spare, said, Dad, I'm really sorry to ask you this, but could you just stick 30 quid in my account, please? I went, yeah, sure, this is why. And I said, fine, I'm working it off anyway. He'd give it to me, but I don't like that. So that's fine. I know I can do a couple of hours painting, and I'll feel more comfortable. So I did that. And then within half an hour, I got a phone call from my friend. I'm coming down. Can I be on the workshop? I'll pay you 50 quid for it. I went, well, no, that'll be perfect, because another one's just bounced out my account, and that will pay for that. And then to give her my bank details so that she could pay me, there's 200 quid in there. Where the hell did that come from? Oh, they paid me my tax credits a week early. Right. So I've got it. And then and it's like, okay. So what I didn't do was panic, and what I didn't do was hide, and what I didn't do feel I was somehow wrong. I took a breath, I trusted, and I said, well, you'll look after me, whatever it is. I'm powerless. And that's it, isn't it? I think we just, in that state of fear and panic, we try and do something. I'm always doing that. It's when I make my greatest mistakes, and the payback for those greatest mistakes is several years of my life. Why do I do it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, same with me. Things were tight, and then I lost 2 clients on the same day. And then my credit cards got hacked. So I've got all of my accounts on shutdown. Could be for another 3 weeks while they explore what happened and can open them up again. I've got literally $20 in my pocket. I had to shut down automatic payments. And then I heard that this money was coming, but I don't know how fast that is.
No.
And I'm just like, And like you, in the past, I'd be going, oh my God, what do I do? What do I do? No, it'll all come in when it needs to. I'm not going to worry about it.
Yes.
And I do think all of that really is teaching. If we go back to what we were saying before, this need to finally, finish up any healing that needs doing. I think on this level, spirit, universe, whatever you want to say, is teaching what we need right now. We have to learn to change our entire angle at which we come at life. Which, yes, we're trying to do through Sotem, and if we don't do it as individuals, how can we do it as Sotem?
Yep.
So for us, we've really got to work at that. But it really is a completely different way of relating to ourselves within our environment on every level, isn't it? So, and the bottom line is this human control, and that control that we've got is, we've got money, we've got this, how do we sustain ourselves? We were saying about this whole idea at the moment that everybody's worried about they're going to pay their fuel bills, and I said, maybe people will start putting shoes and socks on again and wearing long trousers, putting a bloody jumper on, rather than relying on turning the boiler up.
They put on their heavy underwear.
Because I remember being cold as a kid in the winter and needing 2 pairs of socks. I haven't felt that.
Cold in the winter and hot in the summer.
Yeah, but I haven't felt that for a very long time. And I walk out the street, all people are wearing sandals and shorts in the middle of winter, and it's bloody cold. It's cold. How can they do that? They're not feeling. But I also walk into people's houses and it's unbearably hot. You have to strip all your clothes off.
Yep.
And then you're worrying about your fuel bills. Well, what do you need your heater on that high for? It's our relationship to how we're living, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we've got so I don't know that it's complacent. It's not really. We've been funneled down this. We've been funneled down this feed the money machine, feed the capitalist machine. At the end of the day, that's for want of a word. We're fodder. It really is like the Matrix. We pretty much are plugged in.
Oh yeah.
It is.
So we've just got to do it differently.
I think it's also like balance in that sense, because the majority of everybody is living in that fear mode, so to say. So when a single person or few people do it, the kind of also lashback or backlash, the kind of discomfort, it's not always easy, because you are singled out or you are put aside. So it is a difficult thing to do, though. Like, we see the stress-free lives we could have, by living and thinking and not stressing about these things and flowing. So it is difficult. I do understand why so many people would resist wanting to live, because they don't want to have to deal with everybody else, because we still got to live with my family and like everybody who's around, and society and religion and all kinds of things. So I think we've got to be the ones we got to be brave and do it. Live it.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely, and we got to talk about it too.
Yeah. I think that turns back round to what Jim was saying about his friends coming to him about, you know, we did all this work at Standing Rock and now we just feel like it's all a bit hopeless, is because exactly it's not norm yet. And when you are at that changing edge, you, as you say, you've just got to have courage. You've just got to be brave. You've just got to keep, you know, and that's what I think I where I'm at as well with that. The way I am being, I know I've repeated all of these patterns and I keep putting myself back. So all I know is that not to do that again. And I don't know what I should do instead, but that's okay. All I need to do is deal with me having a fear reaction to not doing what I did before. And as long as I can just hold myself and not act, then what needs to be done will come.
It will. And you
But
just
all
gotta
I need to do.
let go of the S word now.
Yeah.
Should.
Yeah.
There's nothing we should do.
No.
There's lots of things we could do.
Yeah.
I think the other part of it that's really, that I'm certainly in me being more aware of, is you not only have to have courage, you not only have to step up and do it, we have to be the examples, we have to talk about it and model it. We have to truly believe it's going to work. And it's taken me, God knows how many years to get to that point, most of the time. And the more we can believe it's working, the more it works and the quicker it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm certainly watching that. And that's awesome.
I think my internal vocabulary has changed too. It's when people ask me, well, you know, do you think what you're doing is going to work? Do you know? I says, well, yes, of course it is. It's going to, because it has to.
Yep.
For no other reason, it has to work.
Yep.
So it's going to work. There is no other question, so it will work because by one way or another, I or whatever will make it work because it simply has to. It can't not. That's my personal situation, but you know, I think we can apply that again, because even when all those doubts come in, rather than doubt crippling, it's well, I don't know how it's going to happen, but it's got to. And I think I do have that attitude about the whole global situation as well. Is I mean, in the face of all of this shit, there's some shit going off, and I don't know how it's going to change. It has to, because it can't continue. I mean, it's that simple. It can't continue.
Not sustainable.
It's not, exactly. It's not sustainable. So one way or another, it's going to change. What that change looks like is another matter.
Well, yeah, we don't have to worry about that too much. If we do what we know we're meant to do, if we add in all the pieces, if we add in the prayer and the ceremony to the actions, and to the collecting with people, then it will change. The earth will decide what it needs to look like. We have to listen to her. She'll tell us.
Yeah. I think coming back to like the conversation where I was talking about healing and safe spaces, I understand now the importance of it for me, especially because whatever we're instructed to do or is given or shown to us, it has to be heard, felt with clarity and no noise and projections. And so the inner work is really important because we need to really listen really carefully. And I think for me, like being hollow bones happens during certain ceremonies and, you know, when we have these things, but on a day-to-day basis, to be able to truly listen, I think that's why I'm doing this, because like we're saying, the doubts come in, and then at least now I can recognize it when it comes. I'm like, no, like, you know, I'm gonna steer clear of that, you know, or to be in tune, knowing that, okay, this person, no, I cannot work with this person. This does not feel right. You know, so I think that listening now more than ever, because they're guiding us, we've got to listen deeply.
Yeah, totally agree. Totally.
We do.
And that thing. You know, you said it, Jim, several times, you know, about coming forward and being visible. We do need to speak because people do need to hear.
Yeah.
And I might not like it, but you know, it's,
Yeah.
it's not up to whether I like it or not. We do need to, don't we? And you know, if people didn't, then I wouldn't feel so comfortable either, because suddenly I find I'm not in a world on my own.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing because before we came on, I saw the three of us here, and I saw a fourth coming in later. And so, Jim, I'm driving to Los Alamos to visit Sunbird. I feel real bad. I wanted to be on the call with Louisa and you all today. I could join the conversation, but I'm driving and the van's loud. But I'm there in spirit. There's the fourth.
Well, she can join the conversation in the loud van. That's fine.
Yeah, that's right. It's funny because I saw the fourth direction coming in. Anyway, there she is.
Yeah.
She's the youngest of the group in today. Yeah, I've got a woman flying in late Monday evening because she has to work with me on Tuesday. She can't go any further. She can't take what's going on in her body until she works with me again, blah, blah, blah. And so I was trying to shift that, and it wasn't working. So I realized when she gets here, she's coming back here to work with the land and work with the Red Rocks and work with Sedona. I'm simply a guide.
Yeah.
And I know she'll understand it at a deep level once she gets here. But to allow her to be able to get here, okay, I'm just letting hands off, you know, I'll let that part go. I keep tagging into and holding on to and embracing and moving and feeling the word that Eliane used 10 minutes ago again, and that's that reweave. The whole weaving thing is just, it's got so many connections. It's got connections to our indigenous past. It's got connections to the fact that we can't fix things anymore. It's too broken. Stop it.
Mm.
And I think as Sodom, that's probably a big thing that we're bringing forward.
Yeah.
Let's just weave.
I think also if we listen to that language, if we are thinking in terms of fixing, then we are always thinking in terms of broken.
That's right.
Which is not positive way of thinking. It's so, you know, there's like I always used to say to people, I'm not a problem solver. I'm a solution finder.
Mm.
Now you might think they're the same thing, but they're really not, because they live in completely different worlds. If you break it down, a problem solver lives in a world of problems.
Yes.
Yes.
That's why I never liked that word. I didn't know why, but now it makes sense.
And there may even be solutions in that world, but as soon as they find a solution, it'll have a problem, because there are always problems that need solving. Whereas if you live in a solution finder world, there are always solutions. There are a plethora of solutions. There are solutions everywhere. Some of them are farcical, some of them are funny, some of them are sensible, some of them will work, some of them won't. Doesn't matter. There's plenty of them. So if one solution doesn't fit, you'll find another solution, because you're a solution finder and you'll always find one.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems a silly thing to make a point of, but this is where language is magic, and this is where language is powerful, and this is where language programs a mind with that level of subtlety. So one of the things we can do to help people is also not just give them more positive frameworks, but reframe the old phrases.
Yes.
Where there is a negative imprinting phrase, carry it on. You know, so there's another one that comes up. It's and I think it's probably an originated as an Indian saying. So, you know, that saying, you cannot judge a man until you've walked a mile in his moccasins. Well, I say you cannot walk in another man's moccasins, because as soon as you put them on, it is your feet wearing them. And unless you can wear that man's skin, and unless you can have that man's heart beating in your heart, unless you have lived that man's life, you do not have the capacity to judge him. So if you have a mind to judge, then turn that mind in on yourself and deal with your own shit.
Right.
It's a bit long-winded, but it really turns it
Mm.
it round.
And as soon as you step into them, they're no longer his moccasins.
Exactly. They're not. They're yours.
No.
Mm.
It's not like you could walk a million miles in them and they're not. They'll never be your.
Yeah.
You'll never be walking in his moccasins.
No.
Mm.
No.
So it's a long-winded way of saying don't judge.
Mm.
hmm
Mm.
And I think this helps people as well, because there's, there's another one. The other saying that always used to get me was, "Oh, well, you've made your bed, you've got to lie in it."
Oh yeah.
And it's like, yeah, I do. I make my bed every day, thanks, and I love lying in it. And if I didn't like the way I lay in it last night, then I'll make it differently today.
Yep.
Because yeah, I do. I make my bed every day.
Yep. Yes.
And suddenly that gives you the power for the capacity of change. I know you can't teach an old dog tricks. Well, my dog proved that wrong. She was old and she was learning new tricks.
I'm an old dog now. I'm still
Yeah,
learning.
there you go.
So the word coming for that is acceptance of what is, however it is, whether we like it or not.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Things are not done so that we like every bit of it. That's for sure.
I think that paying attention to the verbiage, the words, the way they're used, and how we use them also comes into what Alian said earlier about that listening. The deeper you listen, it's also listening to what we're saying and cleaning it up. We need to clean up what we say.
That's interesting. When I was writing that bit last night, it was just coming, and the words of John Muir came to me, since we're quoting people. The mountains are calling, so I must go. And I immediately started hearing from the ethers, from the earth. No, from the earth mother. Now I am speaking, and you must listen.
Mm.
And so I put those words down, and boy, that was like, yeah, that's reweaving. We're no longer in control.
No.
We never were. We just thought we were. And we've made a bloody mess of it. So now we have to admit that the home around us, the planet around us, is the only thing in control.
Yeah.
We either listen to it or we don't. And you know what? Boy, I don't know where this came from. I'm sorry. This was probably a segue, but Aliane, that's what's so powerful to me about your art. Your art interprets that. The earth, the Mother Earth, is all in your art every time you do something. That really explains something. I wondered what it was that you were able to do, and I think that's what it is.
I just follow her. I just follow the instructions. Half the time, I don't even know. But I'm like, okay, I will do it with all I am. Just help me, you know? And it's physically also sometimes balancing other work and this, but this one's, it's sacred to me. It's so sacred to me. So I cannot mess it. I will not mess it like as much as I can. I just follow. And I think I wanted to say this then also, like this reweaving, and we each bring different yarns. Someone makes the frame, someone is the warp, and and someone gets, a different material. And it's just that we need to be able to integrate that as Soten. I feel because we've been given our gifts and our instructions and memories and so many things, and is how do we integrate that into I don't know, something woven.
I think we are. I really do think we are.
It can get much larger. Yeah, I hadn't thought of it that way.
I think we are.
I mean, we're global for a reason, obviously.
And I sort of saw him as this giant loom. That what we are doing as a board is constructing the loom frame, and then with the committees and the bits of detail that we're now beginning to construct, is we are now putting in the warp and the weft,
Yes.
ready to take the threads. And each of us, you know, we've got our own threads that we bring in, but this is when the threads can start to come in and the weaving can start to begin. But if we continue that analogy, I think that's what Sotem is, and where we're at now is that, you know, all of that legal stuff and all of that getting it into a place of matter, constructing in that was the building of this loom.
Yes.
And then all of these other bits of detail that we're now honing in on and finessing is we're getting the warp and the weft so that we can start the looming, the weaving project and weave this new cloth.
Yes.
There won't be, you know, there won't be one weaver. It'll be millions of weavers who come to the loom and add their thread.
Oh, I got goosebumps and tears.
Yeah, me too, right up my back.
Oh, tears, like it.
And it's like a cloth that is infinite. It just keeps, you know, as another thread printed, you know, the cloth is just coming off the loom. Doesn't have to be cut, broken, or anything. It'll just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going.
Wow.
And there will be a myriad of colors and patterns and information woven into that, symbols and knowledge and love and prayer and all that needs to be held will be held in that.
Wow. So how do we, that's part of what we're trying to do in September here physically, and if we can manage to put it out. But then how can we do that? Maybe we start some of those Zooms and we just start talking about it.
I was going to say, all we need to do, Jim, is start talking about it.
Yeah.
You know, and even at the gathering, you present that to this gathering of elders. That this is what we are. Here we're building a loom. We want you to come and weave on it. And how they weave it is down to each person who places their thread into the loom.
So now I'm seeing something. Okay. So we have 2 days of ceremony and art and dancing and then the other 3 days we're working. First day will be past, the second day will be present, the third day will be where we're weaving. It might be now that we need something in the big room there. And we bring in a big screen and Zoom and invite some like you to come and we weave as a.
That would be good, because that would be a way of getting us there.
Yeah, and it brings in the global. And I think Christopher will be here, so he and I will be here.
I mean, I have, as I said to you last week, I have put it out there that if you want me there, get me there.
Yeah.
As I said to you last week, I did realise that I had some block and resistance actually that I'd put in the way of that. I think I that. I think I have. But so I'm still open to, you know, if I'm going to be there, I will be there. But also, I think there's many ways of being there, isn't there?
That's right.
Just said maybe that's where we needed to arrive.
Yeah. Before long, I see us all being together somewhere. I don't know where. This is weird. This thing keeps beeping, so I'm trying to shut it off. And there's another note from the lawyer. And the second of the court cases being settled the next month. If the second court case settles, get ready because I'm going to come visit both of you.
Oh, fabulous. Fabulous.
I'm just feeling that's part of what I'd have to do. Wow.
There's something that's been coming for since we spoke about weaving and the
Mhm.
yarns. I don't know if it's an instruction for me, but I'll just say it. It's like there's not only yarns, also pick up like dried grass which you can use and other materials. So it's like don't stick to the norm. There are alternatives.
Yeah.
Something on those lines.
Funnily enough, I've got some strands of stinger nettles stalks from when I was processing the seeds and the leaves, and I did a quick bit of research of what can I do with these, and one of them is make thread. I haven't done it yet, so I'm going to have a go at doing that. But from what I understand, traditionally, when weaving anything of magic or power or sacred, you always weave nettle thread into it.
Huh. And so the one for me.
So I think that's an indication, because you already use natural dyes and things, don't you? And probably in the areas that you're living, a lot of the threads and things are going to be more naturally made than they are here anyway. But I think there's that, because part of what we need to be doing is revisiting the traditional ways of creating yarns and threads. So going back to the grasses and the jute and the all of those things. Is that sweetgrass?
That's sweetgrass.
Oh, so beautiful.
And that's woven into every ceremony here. So it could also be woven into, we need a name for this tapestry. And this is interesting because I'm on with the two premier artists in the group. I'm a bridge. So we have a bridge and two artists today.
Let's make something.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, funnily enough, weaving is something I've always wanted to learn to do.
Me too.
And I never have. And I did speak to a friend the other day who does. She spins all sorts of yarns. So that's another interesting one. She'll take your pet yarn. So you collect your dog fluff, and she'll spin it.
Wow.
And then
and
then she'll knit with something with that, because she knits. But all these different yarns. I mean, look at the hair. The amount of hair I've got. It's falling out.
Me too. If I let it go.
Yeah, we can literally weave everything into our.
So as we weave this thing globally amongst us and invite people in to do it, do we also have a physical manifestation or manifestations of it?
Yes. Yes.
Well, that's a nice installation.
Yes. I think
when we have
a collection of stuff and passing it on, and maybe passing it forward. Like I'll do like a bit and send it to you, Louisa, and so then you send it forward and wherever I think it will land up in Sedona.
Okay.
Yes, I think that's a really nice idea. And also you can do each time. This has turned into a bit of a SOTEM meeting, isn't it? Each time we have a center, we've got a place. Each place will have a loom room.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Whoa, yes.
And each place will start its own weave.
Oh, goosebumps. Yes.
So everywhere we set up somewhere, or everywhere that sets up with us, they will start a loom, and everyone who comes to those centers, all those places, can weave a part of themselves into that loom.
Yeah.
Into that weave. Mm-hmm. And yes, that round robin one is also lovely. There's been some incredible sewing projects that have happened that way. So it's perfectly doable. That you do a bit and pass it on, and it's something quite manageable.
Yes.
We'll end up with a very long Doctor Who scarf.
Oh, it'll be beautiful. Oh, It's like the prayers together. It's
Yeah.
yes.
That's what I was just, as she said, Doctor Who scarf, I saw a prayer scarf.
Yes. I like to
Said,
be facetious occasionally.
I know.
Oh,
Poor Doctor Who.
oh,
How's he get around now? There's not many of the old telephone booths there.
so I had a question.
Yes.
So since it was the sacred wheel, and I was sent, like I shared before, I was sent south, then I was sent east, then I was sent west, and I was now in the north. So I don't fully understand how, yeah, how does it work in terms of direction?
Yeah.
South, east, west, north.
Okay. South, east, west, north.
North. I mean, I did connect to the deities there, forest, water, just the deities there. So that I know I was supposed to,
Mhm.
but I don't know in terms of direction if it has a significance. I'm sure there is. Must be.
Oh, must be.
And where did you start? If you went south,
South.
did you start from the middle?
East.
So you went east, south.
I'm
East,
in
west.
east. I'm in east, and then I travel south, then back east again,
And then
and
back
then
Beautiful.
west.
and
Yes,
then
then west, and then again east, and then north. So basically, east is my center.
That's a good question. That made all the difference.
yes. Yes.
So you are in the east, you're in the new beginnings, you're in the no fear, no doubt, you're in the springtime. So you went to the south because then you're going to build something, which you do all the time. But then you went back to the east. I don't know. Did you need more inspiration? Did you need
More courage, more
yes,
expression.
yes.
I went to the south, and it opened up, and I had more courage to spread it
Okay.
in the east.
Okay. And then in the east, you could pick up more of that courage because again, you'll go into that area of no doubt, no fear. And then you went to the west where you could teach.
Yes. Also, the west, when I went, there was some very intense stuff inside, which there were feminine deities of the west who just held me through it. And it could have come out in like rage, but they mellowed it down and it came out as a prayer.
Yeah. So each time that you went to one of the directions, did you go back to the east first or no?
Yes.
Okay.
So you went back to the east before going north?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh.
And north was like, I wrote about it. It showed me bare bones, like
Yep.
nowhere to hide. Even the environment and the everything was like that, but it was like stripped to the bare bones.
Yeah, it's also going back to the bare bones.
Yeah.
That's
Oh man, wait a
like
minute.
stripping off any of
Look
the
at this.
getting back to the real core crux of the thing.
I knew I wrote it down for a reason. So we're gonna weave this thing, right? Now, Yen, you went from the south to the east to the west to the north. There it is.
Oh,
Sewn. You were sewing the weaving.
And when you were in the north, did you go back to the east?
Yes, because east is where I am at. That's my base.
So also
That's your base.
I can't draw it, but also if you trace that, because I presume when you went from the east to the west, you went via the circle,
Yes,
and then you go back to the west, to the east.
yes.
When you go to the west from the east, you've gone straight across the middle.
No, diagonal.
You didn't go round the circle
No.
back through. You go
No.
across from the.
Oh, partly, almost touching the circle.
Okay.
Almost
So you didn't
touching.
go straight, because if you've gone east to south and then back to east and then across to west and then back to east and then up to north and then back to east, you've just drawn an arrow.
Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But I knew something was happening, so I just traveled. They're like, okay, go west. I'm like, okay. Go north. Okay. So I'm like, what is happening? But yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. Each one opened the door for more. And then in the east, I spread it more because there are a lot of lecture youths and there are a lot of young ones here. So I took it to them, whatever was picked up.
Yeah. That's the
And
other
then
thing I was thinking.
everything to the west, and I took the same thing all the way to the north. So I've been spreading it around.
It's almost like they are also actually the physical directions, because from our point of view, you live in the east.
Yes.
So you live in the east.
Yes.
But whether you are in yourself in the east or not, you actually physically live in the east. So anywhere you travel to, you're traveling from the east to something.
Yes.
So I don't know where within the relationship of where your home is, where the different projects you've been on recently are. Did you go south first and then back home, and then did you go west and then back home, and then north and back home?
Yes.
And that kind of matches how I do my medicine walks. I'll go out and I'll gather, and then I'll come back here, I'll come home, wherever home is. And that's partly to unload what I've gathered spiritually to that point, and then I go out again, then I come back.
Yeah.
So I kind of do what you were doing.
I mean, that's the other word, that term that I had when you were talking. I was thinking, no, you're gathering, aren't you? You're gathering medicine. You're not walking the wheel.
No.
For a process, you're going out to gather medicine to bring it back.
Yes.
That's right.
And spread it also.
Yes.
Because the medicine from the south I took to the east, but then by the time I took it to the east, then I took it to west, and then from west back home again medicine, and then again north. I took it north, and I think the most potent medicine so far has been the one in the north, because it's a collection of all the other medicines.
Yes, it would be. It would be.
The place of wisdom.
Yeah. And you needed to gather them in that order to be able to go up there and gather that. You know, it's like a preparation that you need to collect this.
Oh, yes.
And you need to take this back so that you can integrate it, absorb it, make it a part of you, and then you can go out and grab the next bit, and you can bring that back, and you can integrate that and absorb it, make it a part of you. So you haven't, you've gone and got this one, but you can't let go. You've not just dropped it, you've integrated it. It's become a part of you. So of course you take it with you on the next part of your journey, because it's with you.
Yes.
And then you integrate that bit, and now that's also part of you. So it all goes to the north. And having gathered it all, you're capable of going north, and you're capable of receiving the gift you were given in the north. If you hadn't gone south and then west,
it's built up to it. Yes.
Yeah. And you would have had to have gone back east each time.
Yep.
Because you had to go back and integrate it all.
Yep.
Understood.
This is why you need this process of re-landing each time you come back in.
Yes. This was the longest. This one was the longest. I've been.
A lot more information for you to bring and absorb and digest. And to
This was when you were in the north?
Yes. And
well, yeah,
ceremony. Each time there were ceremonies that were smaller, and this time the art and the ceremony with the land and the Dakini or the female deity was one of the biggest I've done alone.
yep,
The whole thing was a ceremony, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
yeah, absolutely. A journey.
From the
And
start.
and actually a complete embodiment.
Yes, this
What I
time.
saw of what you were doing
Oh yeah.
this
Yeah, yeah.
time, the work you did in the north, you were asked to completely embody it.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes. Wow. And it comes with blessings. They were very happy with me. They're like, you finished it. Very good. So here you go. We will help you go through your problems and all your old stuff, but you have to do the work.
Yep. Well, that's what we tell other people. We have to be willing to hear it ourselves.
Yeah. Ultimately, all you've got to do is turn up.
Yes.
Turn up.
Yes.
Turn up. Just keep turning up.
Turn up.
Was there somebody who tells the story about that woman? I don't know. It's you guys. I don't know who it is. Not somebody I know. A woman who decided that she would set up meditation practice in her living room, wherever it was, and each week she would set up the cushions and she would open the door and nobody would come. But each week she did it. Each week she did it. Each week she did it until the room was full.
Hmm. Yeah.
And she just knew her job, she was asked to do it. And all she
Well,
had to do was do it. And the who was going to come, they would come when they came.
yeah, I've done things like that in the past, and I've seen others. Well, back to Standing Rock, since it was a door opener. Greta Thunberg.
Yeah.
The first 4 months, she sat out there all alone.
Yeah.
Every what was it? What?
Yeah.
What? No, every Friday.
Yeah.
And nobody showed up. And then the world started to show up. That's a good thing for us to remember as we start weaving this tapestry of the future.
One of my morning prayers, for want of a word, recitations, certainly maybe not as frequently now as I used to, but I should get back into it, is I stand up, I step up, and I'm here.
Yes.
I name myself. This is
Mhm.
who I am. I stand up, I step up, I'm here. Every day, every day.
That's good. I admit there's some days I can't even stand up.
Yeah.
There's days I'll just lay there or hang there or sit here until midday. And then whatever kicks in. Other days I get up and wham,
Mm.
off to the races. And I think that's part of the energies we're
I think something I say quite often, not every day, is
No.
that I'm here as I am, however I am.
Mm,
So
I love that.
yes, it's like some days I'm not. Yeah, I'm not. Some days I am, but here I am, however I am,
Yep.
lying down, crying, jumping, whatever it may be. So it gives me this thing of connecting and saying that no matter how worthy I may feel, or no matter how energetic or good I may feel, I'm here as I am. And there's no other way I can be anyway. So here I am, like this.
Right.
I am here.
Yeah.
And actually, it doesn't require getting out of bed either.
Hmm.
So
No.
if you
Some
need,
days that happens too.
yeah, if you need to be in bed, then you need to be in bed.
You
Yes.
can't fight it because you don't accomplish anything anyway.
Hmm.
I usually just lay there or sit there and wait to see what comes,
Hmm.
even when it feels uncomfortable, which it does. Wow.
I think we ignore rest.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's part of it. And I forget that I need more rest than I used to. But That is part of it.
Time to integrate.
Yeah.
Stillness, a bit of space.
We're weaving inside of ourselves too. You're right.
Sometimes it's the space between that speaks the loudest. It's in the silence that you hear the most.
Yep. Ooh. Yes. I got to reach out to some of my Hopi friends because their whole creation story is about Grandmother Spider, who wove the existence of the planet. And now we're talking about reweaving the future. So we're kind of tapping into their original.
Yeah, I think with a little bit of research, you'll find it's in a few other global cultures as well.
It is.
That sort of idea of this life loom that weaves the beginning. I think probably why weaving was always such a sacred thing to do.
Yeah.
Yes.
I was in Navajo land one day, and I was at one place, and this grandmother, two grandmothers, were weaving on this huge loom. They're one on each side, and they're doing their magic, and the way their fingers just fly. I'm talking to somebody else who took me there, and it's like, man, I wish I could learn that. Well, you could learn that. And I said, well, no, that's what the women do, right? I mean, they do the weaving. And then when we went down to the next place, here's the tribal elder who happened to be a man sitting there weaving at the loom. Went, whoops. Guess I could learn.
Yeah, I don't think that matters.
No.
Yeah.
Well, it certainly doesn't in a new world.
Yeah.
No,
we have to learn to stand together now.
Yep.
Really.
I think that's one thing I've taught for so long. It's whoever has the best skills at the moment steps up.
Yeah.
And then sits down.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's really time that men and women stood side by side again and held hands and stopped fighting.
Have to.
We've got to stop fighting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been like everything else that's negative that's been put on us.
Yeah.
For so long that too many have accepted that that's the way it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and as long as we are in conflict with each other on the outside, then we're in conflict on the inside because our masculine and feminine are not walking hand in hand.
Yep.
We're having to deny one or the other in order to be whatever we are on this facade.
Yep.
It's not good.
No.
It's not good in any form.
No, it's not. We lose so much power.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's nobody, it hurts when I keep hearing, oh, it's the patriarchy, oh, it's this, oh, it's that. No, it's not. Imbalance is imbalance. You can't point the finger at one and say it's that's at fault. One's out of balance, the other's out of balance. You're out of balance.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as you try to point at one or the other, you're just pointing the finger and it points back at you and the whole thing continues.
You're pointing at the mirror.
Yep, absolutely. Yes.
It's nonsense. It's nonsense.
But like a lot is changing and has changed because it's a very different conversation. But like the young shamans and in the lineage that it's passed on, usually it's like the matriarchal, like the lineage would pass it on to the females and the male to the male. Right now it's going anywhere that it thrives.
Yep.
They're skipping generations, they're skipping families, they're skipping the rules, so to say. So wherever it thrives, it's opening.
Sort of has to, doesn't it? Because it's the only way of keeping it alive.
Yeah.
There's a post somebody put up today on that level who as a Westerner where we don't have our lineages intact anymore, he's sought his training in various different lineages. And as he was saying, he doesn't weave the lineages together but he uses each of them in their own right, which I think is a sensible thing. But as he described it, he said, more and more lineage holders are happy and willing to pass their knowledge on to people outside of their culture or tradition, because their youth aren't necessarily wanting to step into those roles.
Yes.
And it's better to keep it alive and to allow it to live where it wants to live. And I think also, we touched a little bit on the idea of reincarnation and what have you, and there's lots of different ideas from various different cultures about how that transpires. But if we think about it on that level, that we are now truly a global people, we have been interacting now for so many centuries that our blood and our DNA is truly intermingled. To walk anywhere on this planet and find a single true blood human of any lineage would be really hard. So on that level alone, we could have, our blood could be anywhere. I mean, you like Jim, you live in America, but you've got blood that's Italian and also Romani. So you could say that it still entitles you to those lineages if we wanted to look about rules, for instance. But the word tradition, as I understand it, is not a static thing. A tradition only survives if it evolves with its people. So something can remain traditional but change.
Yes, that's true.
Also, this thing, like for me in my journey, I've had help from the shamans of Amazon in Goa, which is like crazy, and similarly of other lineages, and sometimes global. And so we're all connected anyway, and the medicine comes from where it's supposed to come. Or the teaching.
Certainly, ultimately, if we are shaman at all, then what we are is working with spirit for the good of all life everywhere. So then surely we would be working together, because our aim is exactly the same. Our job, it's not even our aim, it's our job is the same.
Yeah. Like you, Ian, my birth lineage comes from my grandmother and through that side. But then my Mayan shaman teachers, and I've just been taught by so many. And it doesn't really matter. And the ones that I'm trying to, or hoping to now, the ones that I will pass it on to who are younger, they're all mixed races as well. Because you're right, trying to find a person of just one race anymore is, there's a little, you have the Kogi up on the top of the mountains and Colombia, but even there's some intermingling now. Which I think
well, even if it's only ever happened via rape, it's still it's there. The bloods are still mixed. We are all mongrels.
We are indeed. We are indeed. And that's good. It's just as trying to say only one thing is just as ridiculous as saying that there's these countries and each of the countries is separate. When of course that's all made by people too.
No, quite. And that doesn't mean that we disrespect or do not understand that there is also difference in each place, because of course there is. Climate is different, flora and fauna is different.
Absolutely.
So it's not an homogenization, a muddiness of things. Recognizing that we are all one species does not mean we are recognizing we are all the same, but we are all equal.
When I used to teach circle more often, I'd get that pushback. Well, if I get into a circle, then I lose my individuality and I lose my peoples. And no, you don't. It's stronger. You're
Yes.
adding something, not subtracting.
Exactly, exactly. It enables your individuality. If it
That's
properly
it.
is a circle, if it properly is equal, then it enables.
Mhm. Wow. Gotten at least half a dozen answers to things that have been bouncing around in my head lately. I have to, later today, I have to sit with this. Ooh.
I feel happy to speak to both of you because it's like all of this thing that I've been going through, like I'm other than maybe a person or two people, they have
Yeah.
no clue or they don't understand what's happening. And I'm like, oh, but this, and you get it, and it's so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I certainly get a lot out of it.
Hmm.
Mm.
And once again, of course, this is a very deep medicine wheel discussion. So it makes sense. It's the last one of your
Yeah. Yes.
process.
Yes. Although the email said, because it does really like to rewrite my spelling and my words when I put things in, it would be about interaction. No, it was about integration.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah.
So this actually, how, as you say, Jim, it is all about the medicine wheel, because the medicine wheel is about everything. We are
Yeah.
talking about
Mhm.
the integration of that, what that actually means down here in room 101, how it applies.
Yeah.
So is there anything else that anybody wants to share, talk about? Otherwise, I will thank you very much and close circle.
I still have to catch up on some of the last two.
Yeah.
So once I do, if I do have some doubts or if I have to share something, I'll reach out.
Of course. Yes.
I'm still catching up with everything else.
Yeah. I hear you.
Yeah. No, don't worry about that. Yes, always, of course, of course. And I have said that for the sake of the recording and the other people as well. I have said that, really not a problem. I'm also quite happy to do another Zoom session if people want to have another.
I will definitely set up a Zoom session open to everybody that we talked about at the last couple of SOTA meetings too. I think we've got some interesting material we could open to. I'm not sure how that works. What are you guys feeling?
About setting up a Zoom,
just invite, see who shows.
sort of like a general a circle to come together, and without a particular focus, just a general circle.
Well, it could focus on weaving the future and then just see where it goes.
Yes.
I'm thinking maybe to do it before we do our gathering here as a opening the door.
Yeah.
That sounds good, Jim.
So I'll think a little and I'll share thoughts, and maybe the three of us do it.
Yeah.
Three points.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
Also,
Maybe
about the transgenerational wisdom, because I was looking at it through a very different perspective. I'm being asked to relook at it. So I will sit with it and I will, because there are the ways of doing it which is normal. And like we said, like look at other materials, look at grass, so I need to look at it from a different perspective.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like that word though. I just don't know what it means.
What, transgenerational?
No, normal.
Normal. Oh, yeah. No. Normal. Do you think it had something to do with the Normans?
It could be.
Are they normal?
Oh, it's more male. That's right. It's the male
It could
that
be,
comes
couldn't it?
in.
Okay, is there anything else we want to share? No?
Woo. Should we share this recording out or just to our circle? Just to our circle. What do you think?
I will send it out on an email to everyone who signed up to this course.
Okay.
As far as sharing it out past that, I'm actually quite happy. I don't mind. I can make it public instead, so that it is on my YouTube channel,
Mm.
and you can
Did
share
you
it
see the
there.
thumbs up on your thing just now?
Well,
On Louisa's screen, when you said that I'm happy to share it like public, there was a thumbs up that came on. See it in the recording. It's like
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, so I'm happy whatever you two think, because you are on the video, and as an English person working in England and GDPR, I have to ask your permission anyway.
Good show.
Absolutely.
Smashing.
So I'm happy for it to be shared publicly.
It might be a nice thing to put out there, and then we could just invite. Okay, we're going to open a Zoom for everybody who wants to show.
Yeah.
And just take it from there.
Yeah. Well, I'm also happy for this to go out, because at the end of the day, I will want to run this course again.
Right. Right.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So are you happy with that then, Alian?
yes.
Yeah.
Good show.
Absolutely fantastic. Right. So I will then, when I upload it to YouTube, before I pass it to you, I will make it public, so you can share it as you like.
Okay. Sounds good.
Cool. So you didn't meet this staff last time, Jim, but this is the one I was talking about. Saw it in vision.
Wow.
And this is the one that is for just taking out there and working generally. It's my mobile for holding a circle, and it holds the elements. And it's simple.
Quite lovely.
So I would like to say a very big thank you to all that have been present. Thank you to Jim and Alian for joining me in this circle. Thank you to all of the energies and entities, spirits, and deities and beings in all the realms that chose to step forward in this circle and to weave this magic together. Thank you to the four winds, the directions of the medicine wheel, for the teachings that you have gifted and the energy that you have provided. Thank you to the elements that arise and dissolve in every moment, in everything, everywhere. Thank you for your presence and for your lessons and your teachings. Thank you to all that is above and all that is below. Thank you to Dargul, spirit of this land, here where I sit, for holding this space and for allowing me to live here, to dwell here, and to work here. We are blessed by you. I am blessed by you all. I thank you very much. Aho.
Oh. Sacriasi. Ooh. Wow. Thank you both. This was awesome.
Thank you.